Scales? Don't those go on the outside of a fish?
Keys? I know all about them. I use them to get in my car.
B11? What's that? Some sort of vitamin?
If any of these sound like you, yeah, you probably need to be watching this video. On today's lesson, we explore some of my absolute favorite easy-to-learn music theory hacks. I'm Uncle Ben, and this is why you suck at guitar. Hey there kids, it's your good buddy, Uncle Ben. You know, the guitar is just a difficult instrument to learn, both from a technical perspective as well as a theoretical one. There's something about the tuning that we use and the layout of the strings and all that just makes it harder to learn theory concepts on. It also has the problem of being a fairly young instrument, which means that we just haven't perfected the right way to teach it yet. Instruments like violin and piano have had hundreds of years of experience to figure out the best way to teach people how to play them. That's how we've ended up with stuff like the Suzuki method, which is teaching kids how to play Paganini pieces before they even know how to keep from pissing their pants. We don't have anything like that yet for guitar, which is why we still have so many musically illiterate guitar players who still piss their pants. But my mission while I'm here on this pale blue dot is to make learning guitar more easier for people just like yourself, and help cut through the disinformation that's being spread by the GUITARMINATI elite who would like to see us stay ignorant. They've been using pawns like Mel Bay for decades now to keep guitar players like us in the dark and ignorant about all things theory related. But I'm here to change that. And you're gonna get even more GUITARMINATI secrets that they don't want me revealing over on my Patreon page, patreon.com/Ben Eller Guitars. Sign up today even for just $1 a month. You're gonna get a very special extended and ad-free cut of this video, as well as hundreds of other exclusive posts and a community of awesome people just like yourself. It's the only place on the entire internet that's safe from the GUITARMINATI interfering with my messages. So don't delay, sign up today. I'll see you there. Gear-wise for today's video, I'm playing my lovely made in USA Sully 622 custom JazzCaster. If you feel an urge to drink a cup of cold ice water, don't worry about it. It's completely natural. And amp-wise, I was looking around my studio and checking out all these glorious, amazing tube amps that I have here, which is why naturally I decided to plug straight into the MXR Rockman pedal right into my interface. Seriously, that's my entire setup. I'm adding a little bit of delay and logic, but that's it. You can't argue with the results. Let's get into it. Alright, yeah, let's start digging into some of these music theory tricks by talking about how to understand what chords are available in every key. Now, I could go on a huge long tangent about this, about learning scales and the triads that scales generate and how those form the language of chords, all that jazz. We could do that, but it would make this video very long. Now, here's a really easy trick for figuring out what chords go in every key. In every key that we have, there's going to be 3 major chords, 3 minor chords, and 1 smelly, weird, diminished chord. And to find them, all you gotta know is this really easy pattern and how to use it. Check this out. Choose a key that you want to learn the chords for, like let's say C, the Spanish key. Start off by playing that note on the bottom string. Now that you have that note established, play this shape. That shape right there is going to inform you of the root notes of the 3 major chords that are available in that key. In this case, it's C, F, and G. Those are the 3 major chords we have available in the key of C.
But Uncle Ben, I don't know nothing about no notes.
I don't care if you don't know the notes. You can cheat. It's easy. Just put a tuner on your headstock, play the notes, and look at what it's telling you. C, F, and G in this case. You can hear those 3 chords work really well together. Now, to establish the minor chords that are available in that key, take that same shape that we just learned, right? And play it 3 frets lowlier. So we're going to go down here to fret number 5 in this case. Those are the 3 minor chords you have available. A minor, D minor, E minor. So we found the majors, and then we went down 3 frets and found the minors. I almost inserted a joke right here about somebody being good at finding minors, but then I didn't. So that means in the key of C, we have access to any voicing of C, F, and G major, and any voicing we know of A minor, D minor, E minor. Now, as for that one smarmy demolished chord that we talked about, that's going to be found on the root note right behind where you started. So we started here on C, right? If you just go down one fret, that's where your demolished chord lies. But you know how it is with these things. You got to get your license for those and your permit, all that jazz. You got to submit the forms to the Jazzman's Guild every time you use one. So don't really worry about it. 3 majors, 3 minors, it works that way every time.
But Uncle Ben, I don't play major happy music, I play minor sad music.
Calm down, Robert Smith. All you got to do is reverse this process. If you want to know what chords are available in the key of F sharp minor, start off on F sharp, play the magic shape. Those are the 3 minor chords available in that key. And to find the majors, just go up 1.5 steps higher, so 3 frets. Those are the 3 major chords that you're going to have available. So minors, majors, and the one demolished is once again right behind that first major chord that you found. Easy peasy, fretboard squeezy. But of course there's more to life than just major chords and minor chords. We also have all those really cool extensions like your major 7s, minor 7s, and dominant 7s. Oh my god, what's that? What's going on? It's the GUITARMINATI. They're intercepting the transmission. No! Well guys, there it is. They're trying to keep you in the dark again. Guess you better head on over to that Patreon page over patreon.com/Ben Eller Guitars and watch the full extended uncut version of this video. Up next, let's talk about making this whole dang old fretboard here a whole lot more easier to learn. Now you look at this thing, you got 6 strings, you got anywhere between 21 and 24 frets in most cases. That can look like a whole lot of memorization. And if you pull up one of those godforsaken guitar grimoire fretboard charts, it'll make your damn head spin. There's just notes everywhere, seemingly in no particular order. It's just really difficult to memorize, even if you're homeschooled, like me. But there's 2 things you got to understand about this that'll make it a lot less overwhelming to learn. Okay, let's start looking at it like this. Instead of saying we have 6 strings that we got to learn, you really only have 5, because 2 of them are E's. So if you learn one E really well, and a lot of guitar players do know the low E really well because we root out chord shapes and scale shapes off of it so much, well, you've taken care of the high E as well, because they're the same thing. If this note's G, this note's G. If this note's A, well, you just learned that this note's A as well. So we just cut our workload down a little bit. We don't have to learn 6 strings, we have to learn 5 strings. But what about learning those 5 strings all over the dang old fretboard? That can be really intimidating because there's just so many notes. This is really brutal whenever you use the traditional guitar method of memorizing this fretboard number on this string equals this letter. That's a lot to worry about, especially when you get into the double digits and start learning the higher frets. To help cut the work in half, I want you to use a principle I call big neck, little neck. I've spoken about this in a couple of my videos in the past, but this very well may be your first video, and if that's the case, welcome. Instead of looking at this entire neck as being this huge plank with all these notes on it that you got to learn, start looking at it as 2 necks actually. The first neck is what I call the big neck. That's frets open to 12. And then we have the little neck, which is fret 12 through, well, wherever it ends on your guitar, playing a 22 fret guitar today. These are repeats of the exact same thing. This may be common sense to some of you guys, but it seriously took me like a decade of playing guitar before I realized this. Check this out. So our tuning here, E, A, D, G, B, E, right? Well, every string starts over at the 12th fret, at the octave. E, A, D, G, B, E. So that's kind of our start over point. So this is the same as this. One thing about this that you can use to your advantage is to learn notes associated with certain dots on the big neck. So for example, on the first dot that we have here on the big neck, on the low string, well, that's a G, right? The second dot that we have here is an A note. Now, if you look at the first dot on the little neck, again from fret 12 up, the first dot on the little neck, guess what, is in the same position as this. G is G. The second dot on the little neck is the exact same note as the second dot on the big neck. Third dot, fourth dot, and so on. If you got a 24 fret guitar, you got the double dots up there too. That are going to be the same as the 12. So you don't have to learn 24 different notes. You have to learn 12 different notes and then see how that translates just on a smaller neck. Start looking at this as being the exact same thing as this. It's just more smaller. I've got a great video here on my channel about other hacks you can use to learn the fretboard, that one included. Be sure to check that one out. I'll put a link to that down in the video description for your delight. Now I'm going to tell you guys the most deeply held GUITARMINATI secret about how to learn the notes on the neck fast, because this is something that has eluded guitar players forever. But there's a simple trick to it. Oh no, not again. There's just some secrets they don't want me sharing, guys. It's kind of a shame that only my lovely and loyal Patreon cult will learn the truth about that one, but it's not really. They're my favorite people. Join us. You know, kids, a couple of years ago, I was feeling a little bit under the weather, so I went to the doctor and they did a full blood panel. The results came back, and apparently I was very deficient in D9. And as I didn't know what the fuck that was, I had to go home and figure it out. Let's talk about the exciting world of vitamin chords. I'm talking about those big old jazzy dominant chords that are just a letter and a number that confuse the snot out of guitar players. All these things look like they should be something that you find in like a Flintstones chewable, right? B11, D9, whatever all that stuff is. Anytime you see a chord and it's just a letter and a big number, you automatically know it's part of the dominant family. Those really funky numbers that you hear at the end of like every Beatles song, right? Letter, number, it's always going to be somewhere in the dominant family. But how do you know what goes in it whenever you see a big old chord name like that G13 or whatever? It's a really simple trick. You got to look at it this way. Those chord names are recipes on how to build the chord. And there's a really simple trick to learning how to read those recipes and know what goes in them. Check this out. Every dominant chord contains a root third and fifth, like a major chord. It also contains a flat 7. That's what makes it sound so darn funky. Other chords in that family include our 9 chords, our 11 chords, our 13 chords. And it can be really difficult to memorize that stuff if you don't know the simple trick to knowing how to do it. So again, every dominant chord has root third, fifth, flat 7th. That flat 7th is really important, so keep that in mind. Whenever you see a big old number at the end of the chord, it's giving you a backlog of all the harmony that is going into the chord. And all you got to do to know what that backlog is to count backwards by 2s. For example, if we find like a G11 chord, we know that it's going to have the 11th and then count backwards in 2s. 11th, 9th, 7th, flat 7th. Again, it's always flat 7th. So 11, 9th, flat 7th, 5th, 3rd, root. Count backwards in 2s. So in this case, the 11 is going to be our C note. Our 9 is the A. Flat 7 is F. 5 is D. 3 is B. And 1 is G. That's some of those smooth sailing yacht rock chords you hear Steely Dan use all the time.
Why don't you go f*** yourself?
Yikes. A chord that's a 13 is going to have 13, 11, 9, flat 7, 5, 3, 1. Count backwards in 2s. That's all you got to know. This one is a little bit advanced if you're not super hip to intervals and all that jazz. I recommend checking out my This Is Why You Suck at Guitar, You Don't Know the Major Scale video. That's going to help you out with some of those intervals and understanding all this stuff because it's all based on the major scale. So if you understand the major scale, you'll understand everything there is to know in music theory. So if in doubt, count backwards by 2s. If it's a 9, it's going to have 9, flat 7, 5, 3, 1. An 11 has 11, 9, flat 7, 5, 3, 1. And a 13 has 13, 11, 9, flat 7, 5, 3, 1. Count backwards by 2s. It's always going to set you on the right path. And now, since you made it to the end of the video, as a very special bonus, I'm going to show you guys that absolutely insane shred run that John Sykes plays at the end of the Still of the Night solo by Whitesnake. Okay, what we're going to do is to start... So there you go, kids, a handful of my favorite music theory tricks to help you play licks and get chicks. And by get chicks, I mean, you usually just get a lot of dudes talking to you after the show about what picks you're using and stuff. Attention's attention. I'm not going to turn my nose up at any of it. Be sure to check out the full extended and ad-free cut of this video over on the Patreon page at patreon.com/Ben Eller Guitars. People are saying it's the greatest place on the internet and a potential cult, and I agree with them. So don't delay, sign up today over there. Thanks so much for watching the video. Be sure to give it a like, a subscribe, and ring that bell for notifications every time I upload a new slice of fried gold. And guys, I want to remind you, it's up to you and I to make the world a better place, and we can do it one act of kindness at a time. If you get an opportunity to do something great for somebody this week, make a donation to a good cause, help an old lady cross the street, whatever it is, do it to it. We can change the world, make it a nicer place, but it's up to you and I. Now get away from the computer machine, grab that rock guitar, start mashing some rope. Less clicking, more picking.